As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It is Thursday, December 18th. We are back. Flannel Sam joins the show. We got a friend of ours who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers, Brien Hanley, joining the show 8:30 to talk about the Steelers. Kelvin Sheppard spoke today. You guys are going to want to hear it if you didn't hear it. All right? He had some interesting comments today. We have an updated practice report. It'll be a great show. We got Rams, Seahawks playing right now. No Devontae Adams in Seattle right now. This game's going to be massive.
Give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks got to win this one. If you can't beat the Rams in this spot, I don't know what's going on with the
Keys to Wisdom said Booner knows being late. Technically, Jeff, if you took away the last 4 minutes of this show, we are just right on time. We are right on time if you take the last 4 or 5 minutes away.
According to the Kelvin Shepard logic,
we are on time.
The Timothy Chalamet discussion we were having for 3 minutes, and then you take away the other minute of miscellaneous, technically we're on time. So
you know what's funny is when I was at my house with my cousin, we were talking I was in a battle arguing for Timothy Chalamet. And I came here talking to you battling with about Timothy Chalamet. So if my cousin's watching, they're going to be like, he won't stop with Timothy Chalamet. He's bringing it up to everyone. I've brought up Timothy Chalamet to everyone I spoke to today, basically.
By the way, Shift God just asked the question: how do you fellas feel about the Trent McDuffie rumors, fellas? Will Brad bite next year?
I don't know what are the rumors? What did I miss today?
Free agent.
He's going to be a free agent.
You're not signing him.
It's so much money, probably.
You ain't got no money.
No, yeah, it's too much money. I do have some theories with the money, by the way. I think there's going to be some things that happen that I was thinking about today.
Yeah, there's I have a whole spiel on Brad Holmes that I do want to get to later in the show after Sam Flan. I put it in there for a reason. I want to have the conversation about the window. And I think the Lions have to get back to doing something that was integral in putting them to where they are, and they have not done it lately. So I'm going to talk about that as well because I've been wanting to get to it. What's up?
Is Doc live again?
Is he?
Yeah, this guy Doc, man, he just keeps cutting into 8 o'clock.
I think he waits till 8 to go live. I think he waits.
I don't know, man. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well,
he just ended 10 minutes after 8. Hey, Doc, if you're listening, maybe end before 8. That would be sick, man.
Shout out to
It'd be a good friend move.
Yeah, by the way, SW Lion, I like Shep, but his attempt to defend the run defense
for like the
Rams, that was pretty
time this year. Like he just keeps defending things that shouldn't be defended. Doesn't that make you think? I know we're gonna have the conversation here in a minute. It just makes you think though, like I don't want to like I really do like Shep. I think Shep's an amazing person. He's a great leader. But like the accountability in there, it's like if Shep as a DC can't get up to the podium and say, yeah, we got gashed in the run game, like you know what I mean? It's like hard to fix something if you can't admit that it's going wrong. You know what I mean? It's like with our business, like if there's something that's going wrong, me and you have conversations about certain things, and it's like we have to admit we're doing a bad job in this or this, because if we don't, we're just going to keep doing a bad job. It's like you have to admit it to be able to fix it and move on, and he won't. It's frustrating.
Yeah, he took accountability in a weird way. Like he took accountability on some fronts, and then other fronts he was unwilling to take accountability. It was like half accountability, which was kind of weird. And we'll get to that. I do have the practice report, which signs point to a pretty important player potentially missing on Sunday. And this has been a recent development as of yesterday. What's up?
Hey, before you put it up, I gotta say this. I'm a NASCAR guy. Rest in peace to Greg Biffle, if no one knows. Saddest story of all time. Greg Biffle, NASCAR legend. You know me, Jeff. I'm a massive NASCAR fan. I grew up watching Greg Biffle, all those guys. One of the saddest things when I saw that news hit today, my heart dropped, like, for him and his family. Like, that's one of the it's like flying is a scary, like in my opinion, like I'll fly. In the back of your mind, you're always thinking like he has flown his whole life and like flies helicopter. He does all of that. Him and his family being in a plane, like that's the saddest thing of all time. So rest in peace to Greg Biffle and his kids and his wife and whoever else was. I don't know who was all in the plane. I know at least his 2 kids and his wife and him, which alone is just gut wrenching, dude. Like I was driving home just thinking like, you know, you can lose just one person in a family and it's hard as is, especially, you know, like a parent. But dude, like a whole family, like that's one of the saddest things of all time, man. Like
I know
it's tough, man. It really is. But I just thought of that. Wanted to throw it out there. Rest in peace, man. As a NASCAR fan, have to pay my respects.
Yeah, well said. It's like the Kobe stuff with the helicopter. Now you have apparently, I read into it because I'm not into NASCAR, but a story like that doesn't matter what you're into, man. That's a tragic event. It's terrible.
He was very well known. Like Greg Biffle, man, the Biff. Like Biff, he was a good NASCAR driver. He really was. He was still involved to this day. So yeah, it's tough, man.
Well, I was going to bring up. I don't know if this is kind of news. I mean, yesterday we didn't really talk about it, but Graham Glasgow is on track to potentially miss the game. So, Graham,
did you get any information from the guys with the Lions Collective in regards to that?
Well, they didn't say whether like they're confident or not, but Justin Rogers did hint that they'll probably. He said it's looking like they'll be without Graham, but again, we don't know. Maybe he practices Friday.
Yeah.
But to miss 2 days with a knee injury, now you're getting Mahogany probably back. No, I would say more than probably. I think he plays full practice for 2 days straight. I know yesterday was a walkthrough, but today was kind of the first like test for a lot of guys. Obviously, Kirby did not practice. That's not good. I don't have confidence he plays. But Mahogany, I do. This Graham thing, I mean, knee injury's pretty serious. And if there's a game you probably can, I don't want to underestimate any opponent, but you're probably looking at the Steelers team going, okay, you know, we're probably going to beat this team. It might be closer than comfortable, but you feel pretty confident. Maybe they feel comfortable with Graham not playing. I don't know. Knee injury is pretty serious. It's not like, you know, Taylor's kind of been out of practice with the shoulder, but he even participated in a limited fashion. But you might have Cologne at center on Sunday.
Yeah, didn't he play? I could be wrong. Didn't he start at center a couple weeks back?
He has started at center, yes. I don't know if he started. He played in the game. He came in, I think, for Graham in a game.
Can I ask a question with this? And I would like to maybe I would love to get one of the Lions Collective guys on at some point, because I would like to ask a question when it comes to this offensive line. Honestly, I think Justin would probably be a good one to ask. Looking back, like, do you remember the conversations that were had about Tate going to center? And it was like, hey, man, maybe it was Nolan that we had on, and we actually talked about it, but we were like, it's better off to put Tate at center to start the year, because when it does come down the stretch, he's going to be prepared, ready to go by the end of the year if you do need him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be better down the stretch with the playoffs. It just feels like with Graham, you knew he was going to get hurt at some point. Like, I'm just not confident in Tristan Cologne if he has to play on Sunday, especially at center. Like, he was so bad at guard. And I know it's two different positions, but I feel like center is a more difficult position because you are having to help, call out different blocking schemes and read the defense with Jared Goff and make sure everyone's on the same page. And it's like, man, if he was struggling at center or at guard, now moving him to center and having him start there like that, dude, that's a gut punch, man. And it's like, it would have probably been nice because, maybe one day Tate might play center potentially, that if they just did this and he's in week 16 right now with 16 weeks of center experience. Maybe I'm off on that. I don't know. That's why I want to ask someone to see if that's something that maybe they look back on and maybe regret, or if they were always just wanting him to be a guard for the next, 10 years.
It's a good question. I would say just a guess of mine would probably be they figured before the year, obviously hindsight now looking back, but before the year, it's like we should probably two things. One, Graham has the rapport with Jared. He's a veteran. he already knows the playbook. And then also Tate, they probably thought to themselves, we should just leave him at his natural position so he gets comfortable in year one. When you look back, I mean, now that we're in the midst of it, you're like, man, I wish the guy could play center. But I think that's probably what they thought. And I actually agreed with that. So I can't say that they're idiots for not doing it, but it does kind of suck when you have a guy that maybe could. Now at this point, who knows? Maybe they still draft a center and Tate just stays at guard.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I don't think he got enough reps there. Just for maybe a month of training camp to be like,
you just don't have a backup center though.
Well, they only have the Kingsley. They have Kingsley. Yeah, they have Kingsley, who is an undrafted free agent who could play if Cologne is hurt as well. So it's not like it's not very good. And the Steelers' interior defensive line is pretty good. They're pretty good. So TJ Watt, I don't think is going to play, which is good news. But we saw Tristan Cologne. You saw Tristan Cologne last week get beat back-to-back times on drives.
It's honestly like the production from Tristan Cologne last week was so diabolical. Like that was where it was one of those moments, Jeff, where I'm telling you, like how I brought up yesterday with Christian Mahogany coming back. It was like, thank God Christian Mahogany's coming back, even though there was times he was bad. He's just his floor is Christian Mahogany's or is Tristan Cologne's not even his full ceiling. Like it's like his like middle ground. And it's like, oh my gosh, man, like this is so bad. And I feel bad for Tristan Cologne because he's probably a great dude and he's worked to get there. But it's just from the expectations that we have of an offensive line and what we're used to watching, this is just so like that was such a bad performance. And same with Graham throughout the game too. He had some moments where you were like, oh man, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean the offensive line, it's been a struggle bus. I joined the Steelers podcast today and talked about it. It's just been the offensive line. It's can't believe. I mean, this is the problem that you look at for the rest of the year. I mean, you're facing pretty good defenses. I mean, I would say the Bears defense more opportunistic, and I think the Vikings just had Jonathan Greenard go on IR, so you're getting a little bit of help. But compared to the last three games, I mean, we talked about the Cowboys D-line. They took care of them, at least offensively. They definitely took care of that defense. But the Packers, they struggled. You saw against the Rams, they kind of, the third quarter woes. You're not going to get that 3-game stretch, especially at quarterback, the next 3 weeks. So at least that's the positive. I mean, you get Aaron Rodgers, which Aaron at this point in his career is not Aaron of 5 years ago. And then you have J.J. McCarthy, 9. And then you have Caleb Williams, who's been inconsistent. So, at least you have that going for you. But Kelvin Shepard did speak today. He spoke today about the run defense that's been shaky. His answer was very, very interesting. So let's take a listen to what Kelvin Shepard said. It's a longer one, but we're going to watch it, and then we'll give our thoughts on it. And it got people talking. So here's Kelvin Shepard today on the run defense.
Focus on the pass defense here. Your run defense has been really good this season. Took a pretty big step back, and this last game in particular, was it something the Rams were doing to you schematically? What was the downfall there for you, Chip?
So when we say step back, is that total yardage we're saying?
I think maybe just the efficiency of the operation.
Because I believe when you looked at it, they rushed the ball 29 times, 155 yards, if I'm not mistaken. You look there, they popped one, I believe it was 19 yards where we pressured and had a misfit on the interior of it when they cut back the center folded, which created a misfit extra gap, and they hit us for 19 there. And then towards the end of the game, around a 4-minute situation, the ball hit on the edge where Rock has pinned the hip 100 times but took a bad angle. That generated 24 yards. And then down in the red zone where my man Corum scored, I believe that was probably 11 and 12 yards there. So, again, you can't play this game of taking plays away, but nobody, and I can stand on the table behind this, nobody has just lined up and ran the ball down our throats or made us like the run game. They pop the explosive run here and there. That'll generate that big number, but that 24 and 19 yarder. Take that out alone. They're standing at 4.0 a carry, which is around this league in the NFL. That'll sit you right around the top 10 and right where you want to be. So it's just as far as understanding how we have to play now, as far as the fit's going to change a little bit. If you're not down safety gapped out 7-8 man spacing, you have to be able to occupy that extra gap with the defender being able to hand hands, D-line and linebackers, and get off blocks and finish on the football. But I'm not going to sit here and act like and kind of let anybody state that anybody's just lined up and made us like their run game, because that's never happened.
Yeah, I guess I was just talking from an efficiency standpoint. I think a lot of teams offensively and defensively use, 4 yards on first down, half distance on second down to describe efficiency. It's the worst efficiency game in the Dan Campbell era. So I think that's where I kind of was coming from that perspective.
Yeah, no, I thought outside of 3-4 plays in the game, I like where we stood as far as fitting the run.
I'll just say one last thing on Rodgers. You played against him as a player.
Wow. I mean, that might be one of the most craziest responses. And before you, because I know you put out a tweet. I want to let you go off on that, because to me, and if you listen to the whole thing, which I suggest you go do, he did take accountability for, at least from his perspective of, hey, I got to switch things up schematically, personnel wise. He did take accountability in that area.
Yep.
But when it comes to the run defense, man, he did this against the Vikings. When the Vikings gashed him, he was told by, I think it was Will Birchfield that time, that he was gashed. He got offended again. So this is twice now people have brought up like, hey, man, your run defense got kind of gashed. Or I think Justin used different verbiage. It took a step back. And he just goes off about, if you take this play away, you take this play away. Booner, we watched the game, man. They lined up. I think Kyron said, quote, after the game, it feels good when we line up and defenses know what we're going to do and we still have success. Isn't that by default lining up and running the ball down your throat? Isn't that essentially what that is? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
no.
Kelvin, they have that team did line up and run the ball down your throat. Whether you want to, I mean, it's a fact.
I mean, this is the problem with this as well. It's like the sad part about it. And first off, I want to preface this. Like, I like Kelvin Sheppard. I think Kelvin, me and you both have said, like, we think that, he's a first-year coordinator. We think that he's going to find success in the NFL. And I think he means right a lot of ways. But in like this scenario, like, if this was the first time this was coming up right this year, where you're like, okay, this is not a great response to it. Like, you can't just take plays away. Like, you have to find ways to limit those plays. But like you said, like, Birchfield asked and brought this up and said they got gashed a couple months ago, and Shep had the same response. Well, hey, if you take these couple plays away, and then today, and this is something that me and you have joked about for months now since he said it. Like, oh, if you take a couple things away, this would happen. Oh, if you take that touchdown away, the Lions would win. Like, yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, in one possession games, hey, you stop that one touchdown play, you're going to win. Like, and we've joked around about this. I tweeted out today, like, the example I give, it's like, in my life, if I took away 3 or 4 decisions I made, I would be a millionaire at the moment, wildly more successful, and living in a yacht. Like, that's not how life works. You know what I mean? Like, that is not how this life works. That's not how the game of football works. And I think Birchfield said it best. Like, hey, I don't know more than football than Kelvin Sheppard. That man's played a million games of football. He's watched so many snaps. Like, he is a football genius. I'm not. But what I do know is they gave up, Jeff, and I tweeted it out today, 7+ 6-yard carries from Kyron Williams, around 7+ 6-yard carries from Blake Corum. That's not just like 1 or 2 yard carries. If you take away the 19 and 24, that's over almost 15 times in that game where our defense gave up 6+ yards. That's insane. That's gashed, man. That's gashed. And
they averaged 7 yards on first down, the Rams.
That's nuts. And it's like, okay, if you can't admit, like, and this is where I come from with this, like, if you can't stand up there and admit ever, like, when your team does get gashed in the run game, yeah, we did, and we need to fix it, and we need to be better. When you can't do that, like, He's not doing that behind closed doors to those players when the run game. He's trying to be like, well, these couple plays, he had the excuses for them. Rocky Sin didn't make a tackle on one. This didn't happen. They didn't, set the edge, whatever it was like. But like that's on the 19 to 24 yard. What about the 15, 6+ yard carries? You know what I mean? Like, what about those? Like, that's just the middle of your defense just getting thrown around. That's a Lee McNeil and Ty Leak and DJ Reader and those guys having a terrible game and getting ran through. And I think it's honestly, again, I'm going to keep saying it. I like Kelvin Shepard. I think it's embarrassing standing up there and trying to make an excuse for the run. Like, when it's clear, like your fan base sees it, the reporters and the media sees it, everyone in the world sees it, but you just go up there and someone put it in the chat, you're like just gaslighting the fan base. And I think, to me, that's like one of the last things to do to this fan base, especially with the season that we've had. You know what I mean? You're sitting there at 8-6, and there's a chance like you lose one of these last 3 games, you're done. And these guys, like, we're all trying to find the confidence to instill into this team and still trust that this team can do it. But gaslighting the fan base after that, it's just like, no, like, I thought he did a great job at the beginning of the press conference, taking accountability. Hey, I need to be better. Dan steps up for him and tries to take the blame on the offensive side of the ball. And Shep comes out and goes, I know he's doing that as the head coach. And Shep's like, I need to be better. But when the run game comes down to it, like, to me, that was one of the biggest reasons you lost this game. Like, your defense is supposed to be one of the best run defenses in the NFL. You got gashed, and that was why you lost the game. Like, that 19, Jeff, if you didn't know, Jeff, the 19 and the 24-yard carry, both of those led to touchdowns eventually. Like, both of those drives, those 2 big carries set up that team for a touchdown on both of those drives. That's 2 touchdowns. So it's like, yeah, you take those away, it's really not that big of it. No, it's a big deal because they went and scored touchdowns because they had 2 explosive plays on the ground. You already give explosive plays up enough through the air because your secondary is depleted, but giving those up and constantly giving 6+ yard carries up, that's a recipe to lose every game. And I know it doesn't happen every game with this run defense, but when it does happen and you can't step up and be like to the fans, like, yep, that's on us. That's unacceptable. That's supposed to be our bread and butter. That's the heart of our defense, is the trenches. And we got destroyed. And I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm just tired of Shep. And you know what, quite frankly, some of these coordinators, like John Morton did it today, Jeff, where they're just like, what was the one with John Morton? John Morton did something as well where he is as well was like, yeah, it's just not like, yeah, that's what it's just like, no, you can't just, hey, this doesn't happen, so who cares? Like, no, like, that's not what this is about. That's why John Morton, like, Dan's calling the plays, because in my opinion, when I watch these coordinator press conferences, you know, it's something that I hear every single week that bothers me, Jeff. It's one of the words that I hate the most, and you know this because me and you work together. We built this together. I hate excuses. Like, I hate them with a burning passion. They're the worst. And when you are the head of the defense and you're the head of the offense and you are a coordinator in the NFL, when you get gashed or when your run game isn't working that well, man, I don't want to hear you step up there and gaslight the fan base with excuses. You were bad. Like, you were bad. Don't try and be like, well, if you take these plays away, like, don't try and justify your performance. It was bad.
I know. And
it's the worst. Like, John Morton did it with the Lions run game. Well, you know, the run game, that was the first game. It was really bad. Like, no, it wasn't. David Montgomery's, like, you haven't given him the rock. Save like Jameer. He's been inconsistent. He's a top 3 running. He's inconsistent on the run game. Like, it's a fact. But, like, just sit up there and gaslight the fan base like, well, that no big deal, man. That was the first, that was the first game we really struggled in the run game. No, it wasn't, because whoever asked the question, I think it was Noel or someone asked the question, and when they asked the question, they brought up the facts of it being like, since Jameer's 200-yard game, he has averaged, he's been bad. Like, and it's like, just stop it. Like, that's the problem I have with these coordinators. And, you know, Jeff, I've been a supporter of these coordinators all off season and into the season. I can't stand the excuses when there's issues, because you know what that tells me? That tells me when you're with the team, like, you're not taking accountability, and maybe that's the reason none of these things are getting fixed, and that's why you keep losing every other game. That's why you can't get consistent, is because you're making excuses and you feel bad and you don't want to be too mean.
Yep.
It's insane. I hate it. I hate excuses, man.
Excuses.
And that's what they keep giving us.
excuses, man. It's like talk is cheap, action is expensive, and it's been talk. That's what it's been from Kelvin Sheppard, at least from this press conference. We'll see. I mean, we're gonna have our good friend on in a couple of minutes here, Big B, to kind of preview the game, but I don't know. I will say this with Kelvin. It's been an interesting year. You got a Super Bowl defense up until, we mentioned it, which was against the Eagles. And then ever since then, they have allowed, it's been in the double digits of explosive plays. Your run defense has regressed, or at least it's been spotty. Your secondary is giving up a ton of yards. I don't know. And I think for Kelvin, he's a new coordinator. John Morton's a new coordinator. You've already demoted John. I think he's doing fine in his new role where Dan's calling plays. John's kind of just the guru. But this isn't a great season so far for coordinators.
No.
It is not good.
I'll tell you what, too.
At least
Shep
Kelvin
has
had half the year, but it's not good to close the year.
I would say Shep has this cockiness to him still, where he outside of that first little monologue that he had, taking accountability. After that, once the run stuff came up and other things, he's got this I don't know if it's cockiness or I don't want to say arrogance. I feel like arrogance is a really mean word, a bad word. I don't know. Is that mean? Is that too mean?
It is a little bit of arrogance, though.
It feels like that when he's talking to reporters and he's trying to dunk on guys, and it's just dude, these reporters are actually bringing facts. Justin, I think it was great that Justin had the rebuttal after too, because you don't get to see that a lot. But Justin was no, this is why I asked the question, because these are facts.
And then he dismisses it
again with arrogance, being actually, he starts it off with, actually no, no, actually yes. He just gave you the facts, dude.
Yeah,
it's just
it's crazy.
Oh man,
ridiculous. And it'll be an interesting matchup this week. They're taking on the Steelers. So I went ahead and reached out to our friend Big B from Steelers Almighty on YouTube.
Let's go.
Which, again, if you want to study the opponent, he's the perfect man for it. Big B, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. How you doing, man?
Hey, it's good to talk to you. I was able to join. You invited me on your show. We're getting Big B now in the action. You see us going off about the defense. We'll get to that. Don't worry about it. But I do want to ask you, though, just to start, just some injury questions here. TJ Watt, he kind of got Tyrod Taylored a little bit, punctured in the lung. So what's going on with some of the important guys potentially out for the game? Anything of your knowledge?
Well, TJ Watt's out. And people act like TJ Watt, oh, well, he could come back. I'm like, a collapsed lung, partially collapsed lung. He had surgery to fix it, people. I'm like, he's not coming back for a while. I don't expect him to be back. If the Steelers were happen to make the playoffs, we could get him back. I just don't think he's going to be back before then. Some people thought he was going to play this week, and I'm like, man, this is a minimum 4-week type of deal. So I don't expect him back anytime soon. Isaac Siamalu, left guard, he apparently is going to be out. He didn't practice. Maybe he's limited tomorrow, but it's a tricep, so I would expect him to be out. And then one that popped up today that is very troubling is Zach Frazier, the center, another tricep injury. He didn't practice today. So the only thing I would say about Frazier is that the Steelers would be comfortable playing him if, he doesn't practice, but I'm just not sure. We'll see. Tomorrow will be a big day for that. And then Nick Herbig, I expect him to be out. Basically, he was the backup for TJ Watt. He started last week. He's got a hamstring. Hamstrings, you know how those can be. I would suspect he's out at least 2 weeks. So he'll be out this week too.
Hey, Big B, I want to say I have a couple things for you. First thing, it's good to meet you. I haven't got to meet you yet. Yep. Hey, you seem like a great dude. Second thing I want to say, we have a content creator on every week for different teams. I think you have the best backdrop.
Look at this man's backdrop. It's
unreal.
Well, I appreciate that, man. We kind of take pride. The thing is, there's a lot of creators out there, and we just had to try to be different. That's how we were just trying to be different. My partner does all of that stuff. He's really good at building sets, so he built it. But I appreciate you guys saying that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a Lions helmet back there as well?
I do not.
We got to get you a Lions helmet. We got to get you one.
We got to get this.
We got to say we'll send you a Lions helmet. And I want to ask you though, Big B, you're talking about the TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, all that stuff. Can you give your thoughts on the Steelers defense, a little preview for the people that watch our show that might not have watched the Steelers defense this year, but really more so the last week or so without TJ Watt, and what people should expect to see out of this defense against, obviously Jared Goff and the kind of explosive Lions offense?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, just a quick overview of the defense in general. All year, the defense has absolutely been terrible. Let's just get that out in the open. It has been bad. Pass defense has been bad. Run defense has been bad. Now, this past week, it was pretty good, against Miami. Now, was that because it was super cold? And we know how Miami is when it's cold weather. Tua, who I've said all along, I think Tua is a backup quarterback in this league. When people talk about, man, the quarterback play in this league, the starting quarterback play is not very good. Tua is the perfect example, and that guy got max money, which is absolutely insane to pay somebody like that with that kind of arm, that kind of money. That is incredible. But it's Miami, so it is what it is.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Yeah. And so, but the Steelers defense as a whole, I mean, it was good this past week. And look, Miami had been able to run the ball on everybody. Coming into the game, the last 5 games, they had averaged 196 rushing yards, including running right through the Buffalo Bills, which you think of Buffalo and they have a decent defense. Their run defense isn't any good at all. And so Miami was able to just torch them, but the Steelers shut it down. 67 yards rushing, and they tried to run it. The one thing that they do now, again, and I haven't really looked at Detroit where they like to run the football, but my guess is they like to run the ball off tackle a lot. That's playing into the Steelers' hands because they have linebackers that can run. Where the Steelers have been hurt is basically running in between the guards, like from the middle of the right guard to the middle of the left guard. Teams have attacked the Steelers right in that, just right in the heart of their defense. And it's been a problem when it comes to running the football. As far as passing, look, the Steelers, or pass defense, I should say, the Steelers, it hasn't been great. It just hasn't. And you thought that it was going to be good. What I will say is over the last couple of weeks, it's been better because Asante Samuel Jr. is there. Joey Porter Jr. has played better. It's been better since they moved Jalen Ramsey to a safety position. He has been better. James Pierre, who's also not going to play in this game, he's been a top 3, top 5 corner in the league since he has gotten the starting nod. He should have been playing all year over Darius Slay. And people, I know if you're a Lions fan, you're like, huh? Yeah, Darius Slay's not even on the Steelers anymore. That's how bad he was playing. He's not even on the team anymore. They were like, no, thank you, goodbye. But that's kind of the situation with the Steelers, is that the highest paid defense by $25 million in the National Football League has played horrible. There's people that thought this was going to be a top 5 defense this year. If they could get to top 20, Steeler fans would be happy at this point. But it has been bad. A lot of it had to do with safety play, though.
Yeah.
When Deshaun Elliott got hurt and before Jalen Ramsey went back to safety, we were playing Juan Thornhill back there, who, again, is not on the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. George Clark, who is a journeyman, or Chuck Clark, excuse me, not George Clark. Chuck Clark, who's a journeyman. But that's kind of, I mean, it is what it is. They've got better safety play. So as that has happened, the Steelers have gotten better.
Yeah, by the way, I can admit to you, Big B, I drafted the Steelers defense, so I'm kind of, I'm hanging in there. Browns defense kind of saving me, but I was a believer. All right, I thought I got a steal, Big B. I drafted him. I was like, all right, we're winning this league. Let me ask you, all right, on the flip side of it, just for the Steelers offense, Aaron Rodgers, we know him very well, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, the Lions beat him in his last start in Green Bay. Which you have to think, as petty as Aaron Rodgers is, he remembers that. So he's definitely going to be ready for that. Just your thoughts overall on this Arthur Smith offense led by Aaron. When we talked, you mentioned the offensive line issues, which we understand kind of some of that as well. But can you just talk about the matchup there? Obviously, this Lions defense has not been playing well, the secondary. But just Aaron Rodgers, kind of what do you expect out of him? DK Metcalf, maybe some of your the weapons you kind of expect to give the Lions some issues, or maybe matchups you're excited to see.
Well, one of the thing is, it seems, I know this seems weird, is that the Steelers in the wide receiver room, they had DK Metcalf, but they've made a shift. They brought in Adam Thielen, who got cut by the Vikings. They brought in Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They brought him in, and they have kind of moved out guys that were playing before. Roman Wilson doesn't even get a helmet on Sundays now. Calvin Anderson III only had 18 snaps this past game. And some are like, man, the Steelers have given up on those receivers. And I'm like, yeah, they have. And part of the reason is Arthur Smith likes to run the football, and Aaron Rodgers likes 11 personnel. So if you like 11 personnel, but you still want to run the football, you got to have guys out there that can block. And Adam Thielen and MVS, those guys can block. But more importantly, what they really do well is they run the routes they're supposed to run, and they get to the spots where they're supposed to be so that DK Metcalf can get open. And that is what has happened the last couple of weeks. Now, granted, the teams that they have played haven't been great. That means something, but having the success, because even against the teams that weren't very good, the Steelers' offense, like the passing offense, just wasn't great. But we've seen some things the last couple of weeks because, again, guys are where they're supposed to be. Aaron Rodgers said it. The professionalism, coming to meetings, coming to meetings after practice, outside the facility. All of that has changed in the last 3 weeks. Basically, since he called everybody out publicly, all of a sudden, the passing game looks good. Well, we get on Aaron Rodgers a lot of times because some of the stuff that he does and some of the stuff that he says, publicly, but he was right. It's been a 180 change as far as the Steelers wide receiver room. And I got to believe it's because some of the professionalism and some of the things that he's saying or wanting guys to do and be in the right spots. And you guys know, just like I do, when you get to the professional level, if you can't get to the right spot, then I can't trust you and I can't play you. And that's kind of what has happened with some of the Steelers receivers. They weren't getting to the right spots. They haven't been great blockers. They would rather go that route. Even though guys are a little longer in the tooth, that's okay, because at least you're going to be where you're supposed to be, because we've got this crazy weapon on the outside that teams were double teaming. And if you weren't in the right spot and running the right route the way it's supposed to be ran, he can't get open because of the double teams. And some might say, well, they'll still double team him. Well, fine. Throw it to the other guys. That's what's happened. That's literally what's been happening. So it's a mixed bag. Arthur Smith, so conservative. Some of the stuff, sometimes it's like he's just calling plays versus setting up plays. But what he's done a good job over the last 2 weeks, again, not great opponents, is calling the same play, but out of just a bunch of different formations. And that we can get down with, because all you're wanting to do is just have a little bit of imagination as an offensive play caller. He's done that the last couple of weeks, which has helped.
Hey, Big B, what's been going on with the running back room right there with Kenneth Gainwell and Jalen Warren the last few weeks? Is it kind of starting to turn more towards the Kenneth Gainwell show there in Pittsburgh? Because I just actually noticed this today when I was doing more research on the game. I didn't realize, I believe Kenneth Gainwell leads the Pittsburgh Steelers in receptions this year, if I saw that right. And I was shocked to see that. But then I picked him up in fantasy the last few weeks for the playoffs here, because he's getting the production. Like, they're giving him the ball, and it feels like you guys are starting to turn more towards Kenneth Gainwell backfield than a Jalen Warren one at times. Is that kind of the feeling in Pittsburgh, or how is it going there with that backfield with those two guys?
No, you're 100% right. Kenneth Gainwell has gotten the majority. Now, this past week, Jalen Warren was sick. So, and you could tell that he was sick. When he was out there, he got run over by a linebacker in pass protection. And if you know, like Steeler fans, you could count on 2 fingers how many times he's been run through by a linebacker in pass protection since he's been with the Steelers. Not just this year, just in general. It just doesn't happen. That happened. He wasn't elusive, couldn't break any tackles. You could tell that he was sick, huffing and puffing after the game when he's trying to talk. He was sick. But even before that, Kenneth Gainwell was getting touches, a lot of touches, and it's kind of been that way all year. Even the first game, he got more snaps than Jalen Warren did, and this is game 1, everybody healthy. Gainwell got more snaps. And, they talked about how much they liked him in the offseason, and we're like, okay, fine. Jaylen Warren's going to be the guy. We drafted Caleb Johnson in the 3rd round. Caleb Johnson's been invisible, and that's okay because Kenneth Gainwell has been much more than what Steeler fans thought he was going to be, and he makes something out of nothing a lot of times because, again, the offensive line, sometimes the blocking's just not there. He makes something out of nothing. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Hell, the last couple of weeks, they've lined him up in the slot, and he's out there making catches. And I'm like, okay, we've got something here. So I don't know if they're shifting towards him being RB1, but I don't think there's a big distinction because that was kind of the thing with Jaylen Warren anyway, is he an actual number 1 running back in the National Football League? And the way that they've used him this year, the answer is no. This needs to be a true tandem, and that's what they've done this season.
Last question for you. Just how do you think the game's going to go? What's kind of where are you at? Your thoughts on it, and what do you think the final score prediction is going to be for you?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think either team's defense is any good. I think both teams' defense is lousy. And my thing is with Pittsburgh, so many times that we've seen is that they have good games and they're coming off 2 good games where they've won, and then they have a letdown game. Heck, even fans are calling saying, oh, this game doesn't mean anything. If we win against Cleveland and the Ravens, then we win the division. And I keep cautioning against that because once you turn off the spigot when you're playing well, it's hard to turn that thing back on. But I just think it's going to come down to that Detroit's offense is just better than the Steelers' offense. Although neither defense is any good, in my opinion. I just think that the Lions are going to be able to score more. And that's the way I see it. I think it's going to be 33-24 Lions.
There you go. We appreciate you, Big B. Keep up the great work. You guys can check him out on X at Big B Hanley. And good luck this weekend, my friend. And
I appreciate it.
Never know in the future. Maybe they square off again. We'll get you back on. But appreciate all your stuff today, man. Keep crushing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate you.
There you go. Big
Appreciate
B
it.
on the show, talking to the fellas here. And he spoke about it. The defenses, you kind of know what kind of game it's going to be.
Yeah.
You're going to have to rely back on your offense, which I agree with them 1,000%. Because
And we're back. We're back to that again.
Yeah,
it's like last year.
Last time we were saying that was last year, and even like early days with Dan Campbell. Not like early, but
yeah.
Even the year they made the NFC Championship game, it kind of felt like that as well at times. I mean, they were just
There's a world. I'll say this, like at some point, and it felt like going into this year, it was like, all right, the defense is finally going to be good, and you can blame injuries all you want. I think that's even a part of it, right? Like getting guys in here who can stay healthy, like that's part of it, right? They have to do, like, I hate to say it, outside of maybe some of the guys that already have contract, like this defense has to get like a little bit of a revamp. You can't go into another year. And I don't know if that, and I'm not saying don't give Shep another year. I'm not saying any of that, but I think there are players on this defense where you got to replace with new guys who you give opportunities. And you got to schematically and leadership wise, you can't go into next year and have another down year defensively. I don't want to say it, but I'm just saying what happened with the Eagles when that defense started? They had Vic Fangio, who was an all-time great defensive leader, and they revamped that defense and added the right pieces to it. There has to be something done to this defense, or you just will never win a Super Bowl. Never.
Especially when you look at just the season. I mean, the first 11 weeks, they were 10th in scoring defense. They allowed 21.6 points per game. Now on the year, they're allowing 24.6. So that average went up 3 points, and now they're 23rd in the NFL. So
it feels like it's like a common thing.
Yeah, the 3 of the last 4 games, they've allowed 30 plus. And if you want to count the Giants, 27 or more in the last 4 games. I mean, it's been a complete meltdown defensively. And I saw this too, an interesting matchup. It depends. These stats can be sometimes skewed. The Steelers have a really good red zone defense, or red zone offense, when they get there. Obviously, they're not always there in the red zone, but you have a a top red zone offense. When they get in position to score, they usually come out on top and score. And then you have a Lions defense that is 23rd in red zone scoring percentage. So it's like some of these matchups are, a little interesting. Obviously, you can get the Steelers off the field before they get in the red zone, but it ain't like you can look at the Steelers team and just be like, oh, like what did I love the doc, but even yesterday, he's like, oh, they're going to take care of the Steelers. I mean, they should. But it's like, I don't know how you go into these games. Like, I think the Lions win this game. But even saying, like, oh, they're going to blow this team out. Like, I don't
It's tough
know.
to say. Yeah. It could be a one possession game down the stretch for all we know.
Yeah. I mean,
there's just no confidence with this defense, to be honest, man. Like, if Aaron Rodgers plays the way they did this last week, I know it was the Dolphins, but it's like, what makes you think that you have that much better of a defense right now than even the Dolphins or just anyone? You just don't. You have a bottom 10 defense in the NFL over the last month. It's like that. To me, that's the embarrassing part of the defense. It's like, it feels like over the last 2 years since, the season you went to the NFC Championship game, what was that, 2023 or 2024 or 24, sorry, or 3. Yeah, that's really throwing me off there. But whatever year it was, at the end of the day, it's just like the defense has been the issue the whole time. And there have been positives every single season. And it feels like there's just inconsistencies. And it's like, yeah, you're in a stretch right now to where you're going forward for a 3rd, 4th, 5th straight year where you just have to rely on your defense versus the Steelers. Like, again, down the stretch. It's just like last year. It's like, we finally thought we had a defense this year. Nope. Again, you're having to try and get into the playoffs and make a run with one of the worst defenses in the NFL.
Well, Steven, appreciate the $10. He donated earlier. He says, here's the most damning thing about Shep's tenure. Let's set the scheme failure aside. Name one defensive player not named Jack Campbell who has gotten better this year. I'll wait. No development. I mean, I would say, to be fair,
I got one.
I got 2. Both got better from their prior stop.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Roy Lopez.
Well, I was going to say El-Quadin Muhammad. I mean, he's been
AQM, Roy Lopez.
But I'm not sitting here and defending it, but there are a couple guys who are having better years than they did prior. But I mean,
how like
Eric Barnes, I think overall, but again, I'm not going to get into the weeds of that. I just think, to what Steven's kind of saying, you're not really seeing I think to me, it's the consistency. It's not like you're seeing a good defensive team. It's like it seems like the last 4 weeks, they just completely kind of lost their identity, or at least lost the ability to execute. All right. I don't know. That's what it
feels like. It's been like as a whole, like you could say certain players got better as a unit. They haven't been able to execute, and they've been very inconsistent.
That's true.
That might be the word of the year for the defense.
Well, if you think about it, if you take away Josh Reynolds' drops,
do you know what's crazy? I almost texted you that earlier today, and I almost texted you and said, if you take away the drops, the Lions probably win a Super Bowl or are in a Super Bowl. Why don't
we just say it?
For everything. Yeah.
Why don't we
for
just
everything.
Why don't we just say the Lions made a Super Bowl? Can we just say it? Because if you do take away some of Josh Reynolds' drops and maybe like Jahmyr Gibbs' fumble, they're in the Super Bowl.
Take away Juwan Jennings, or was it Juwan Jennings or Brandon Ayuk catching the ball at the one?
They're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think it's crazy that I mean, again, like I can't say it enough. I do like Shep, but like those comments are just insane to me. Being like, and it's like he's done that all year. Like, if we take these away, we're actually only giving up. Like, that's just not how this works. Like, it's crazy that Shep, our defensive coordinator, is actually being like, well, if you take these away, this is what we're actually doing. That's part of what people are saying of those plays. It is.
Do that. You can do that.
It's nuts. It's like I'm honestly I'm so close to. I'm not gonna say it. I won't do it. I can't. I'm not doing it.
I think Will Birchfield pointed out too, because which I give him credit. Usually people wouldn't go check this, but you know how he said take away the 2 gash plays or the big plays. This is the average is about 4. I think the average is higher than that. I think Will Birchfield did the research. It's like 4.5, which is bottom 10 of the NFL. So
yeah,
like
he said he was like one of the worst
that.
defensive running or rushing performances in the
He
NFL
even
this
got
year.
that stat wrong. Like it was yapping to yap. It felt. I mean,
Does that not worry anyone that your DC is like, one, has facts wrong, and two, is trying to make excuses and be like, take these plays away. Some of the most crucial plays of the game, take those away. We were actually really good.
It's the same thing against the Vikings. Remember, he said, take away the Aaron Jones 2 runs that were this and Jordan Mason's run, whatever it was, then the average is pretty good. Well, it's like, Shep, you forgot to mention, if you take away J.J. McCarthy's kneel downs at the end of the game,
you're even worse.
The yards go back up. It's like, you got to, like, there's no way. Maybe it sounds good when he says it out loud, but there's no way, man. You say that out loud, it sounds
I don't think
good.
so. I don't think he thinks that because it's the second time he's done it. It's like Dan Campbell going up to the media about the offense and being like, well, if we didn't have these 2 turnovers, we actually played a really good game. But you did, and they went and scored on it. I'm not saying in this game. I'm just saying in like a different game. But if that happened, then you did, and what if they went and scored on it? It's a game changer.
You can't do that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. I think I'm close with Kelvin.
That's what I wanted to say.
I'm almost out on Kelvin Shepard. I'm pretty close. I think it depends how you close the year, because I'm telling you, you're not measuring coordinators on good. You're measuring them on great. You need to be great. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. When you have Super Bowl expectations, like if this was 2021 and you hired Shepard and things are up and down, you're like, okay, we're still kind of in this thing building. Like, dude, you're in Super Bowl or bust mode.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's why I think the first-time coordinator thing is so tough, because the expectations are so high.
You have to, like, and that's
Right
like, and Kelvin knows that. I mean, he was a former player. Like, he knows, like, dude, if you can't get this defense to overperform, like Robert Saleh, Schiff just put it, is with the 49ers. Like, dude, Robert Saleh is squeezing everything out of that defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not great, but he's squeezing everything he can out of an injured defense. And you can't operate with Hutch. They lost Nick Bosa. It's like,
it is crazy, though. Like,
I don't know with Shep. I'm close. I'm gonna give.
That's why I said I was gonna say something a minute ago. I said I'm gonna wait to say it. I'm gonna give a little bit more time, but I think there's a couple factors of it too. One, as a first-time coordinator, you want, I think, like for Shep, I think there's just a world where it's like you want to see improvement, and I think realistically there hasn't been improvement from week 1 to week 16 or 15, right? Like there hasn't been. Like there's been regression. And you could, it's because of, maybe injured players. But I'm not just saying like improvement when it comes to on-field play, like in the media room. We had this conversation after the Vikings game when he tried to take a couple plays out and act like it wasn't that big of a deal. And we're like, all right, you just can't have that again. And then he has the media session where he's like, they're losing a million, defense looks bad and they're losing a bunch. And he's like, we're exactly where we want to be. And like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then all of a sudden he goes back to where he was after the Minnesota game today, where he's like, yeah, take a couple of the plays away, or actually weren't bad. And he refuses to admit the run defense was bad. And it was like, no, it was really bad. And it's like, how do fans and people trust? How do they put their trust in you if when there is a bad game, you can't sit up there and be like, yeah, that was a bad, we got gashed. Like you should be able to say, yeah, we got gashed. We got to be better. Instead of like pushing back towards reporters in the media and like trying to gaslight and make excuses. And then also I think the thing too with it, Jeff, is I think it's the part of like, hey, as a first-time coordinator, you want to see improvement. But also, to your point, this was Super Bowl year or bust. So your expectations instantly are different than a first-time coordinator, let's say like with the Tennessee Titans this year or like a different team this year. Like they're just night and day different. And I think Dan knows that. I think Shep knew that taking the job. Dan could have went out and probably went after guys like Robert Saleh and Dennis Allen, 2 guys who are proven in the NFL, right? Matt Eberflus, who is doing a decent job in Dallas. Like there are guys who have had success as coordinators, maybe not as head coaches, but as defensive coordinators in this league, who are now, doing good in the spots they are after being a head coach. And Dan could have went after that, especially with the team that's should be winning a Super Bowl this year. I don't want to say this would be true, but like If Dennis Allen was in this building right now over Shep, even with the injuries, I think that maybe you would have seen a little bit of a different defense up to this point, in my opinion. And I could
agree.
be wrong.
No, you're not.
But I think that would have saved a couple games, and maybe you're sitting at 9-5 instead of 8-6. If you had an experienced coordinator and a guy that, because Shep's probably learned under some of these guys as a player. He hasn't been through all of this, and I think the arrogance of him going to the media and trying to gaslight the media and push back towards media in that position right now, I don't think he has the right to do that, because guess what? Like, be quite frank, like, you haven't done anything as a defensive coordinator in this league. You haven't. So I don't like the arrogance, and it rubs me the wrong way, and it does start to make me think, what if Dan did hire a veteran or DC like the Eagles did with Vic Fangio? That's how I think about it. I really do.
I think the Eagles are a good example, because the Eagles, and this is the risk, right? When you promote from within, when you're in a Super Bowl year or you're expected to win a Super Bowl, the risk, it's high risk promoting from within. It's and the Eagles learned that the first year when they had Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon both leave in the offseason, and then they go and get Brian Johnson. They promoted from within Brian Johnson, who was the quarterback coach for Jalen Hurts. That failed. And then they went and hired, I think, a assistant on the Bears defense at the time, and he flamed out and failed. So they took a chance on two new guys. It failed. They went and got two proven guys in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore, and they won the Super Bowl. And they just did it again. They just promoted from within Kevin Patullo, and it's failing again. So I think the risk, I'm a guy, I like the idea of promoting from within. When I advocated for Ben Johnson years ago, they were at a much different spot. You were in a spot where they're still putting pieces together, still building a franchise. So it was a different team at the time. I think now with Super Bowl expectations, it's a much higher risk to do it. I don't know if the Lions are in the business of grooming coordinators right now. I just don't think they're in the business of it. I mean, I think John Morton was technically a new coordinator hire because he only done it one time. So I think if there's any lesson that Dan probably learned this year, aside from other lessons, this isn't even Brad Holmes, this is Dan Campbell. Maybe I need to go get dudes that I don't have to necessarily worry about. They've seen a lot of football. They've coached. They've seen a lot. Like Dennis Allen has seen a lot of football.
Look at the Bears defense, number one in the league in takeaways.
Dude, and I'm not talking about from Calvin played, obviously. So I'm sure he's a bright guy defensive. I'm talking about from a play calling standpoint. Dennis Allen has seen a lot of football from a play calling standpoint, and you see him succeed with the Bears. He's overachieving there. You mentioned Robert Saleh. Like, can it work? Yeah, it can work, but it's a high risk. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to see how these last three games go. And I'm telling you right now, Booner, they flame out. You got to have a real conversation. Should we just clean house and go get two proven dudes? If Dan doesn't want to call plays, obviously that's a big
I'm with you. Like, go get a Brian Dable or go get a Mike McDaniels if he gets fired from the Dolphins.
And then go get like the best defensive coordinator available.
That's available. Yeah. And like some people in the chat put it there pretty good. Like, they were obviously grooming Shep for this job. Did they even go out and interview Dennis Allen? Did they even go out and interview Robert Saleh, or were they just right away just like,
I don't think so. I know.
I think that's maybe that's a little bit of a swing and a miss. Maybe it is.
Didn't. No, they didn't even. I think that, but Calvin was instant, and then John Moore. I don't even remember them. I mean,
I guess I don't know if they.
I don't remember who they interviewed, but I don't think it was anyone super.
Yeah, they do release interviews. Actually, you see it all around the league. You see a bunch of Lions guys getting interviews for OCs.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring out our friend. He's got a lot of opinions, huh? Flannel Sam. We'll talk to him about the Michigan stuff at some point because we haven't. Flannel just so happened couldn't join the show, and Sharon Moore went through all this.
I know.
There's some theory to that. I told you that he was trying to dodge the smoke a little bit.
I try to stick up for my Michigan man. It's hard to. Flannel, I'm sorry, it's hard to. The big Sharon Moore week. I think Flannel was like, I don't know if I can talk about this right now. It wasn't a pretty emotional week for Michigan, man. I'll tell you what. That was a tough one.
We'll get his opinion on Lions, Rams, Lions, Steelers, and then, of course, Michigan, and maybe other things. But Flannel Sam, how we doing?
Hey, I'm good, but man, I'll tell you what. Just to start it off, this has been such a stupid Lions season, man. Like, I mean, here, let me contextualize this because I'm not talking about like the extracurriculars and stuff like that. Think about this. Before the season, if somebody had told you that the Lions would be number 1 in the NFL in scoring and Al-Qadim Muhammad would have 9 sacks through 14 games, what do you think their record what would you think your record would be right now?
10 and whatever it would be, 10-3.
Like, seriously, I would have said 11-3, but they're 8-6. And that's just one of the nut punches of this season. And don't get me wrong, the Lions can right the ship. It wouldn't shock me if they made the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me if they were one of those teams when they make the playoffs where they get hot, nobody wants to see them, they win a couple of games. I'm going to stop right there to this point before they show me something, but you understand what I mean. It wouldn't shock me, but it also wouldn't shock me if they missed the playoffs, which would be a disaster among epic proportions. Lions fans and just Lions in general, they were talked about and Lions fans were touting them as maybe the Super Bowl favorite. You can't miss the playoffs. It would just, and right now they're 8-6, 14 games in. They're 2 games behind the Bears. They're 3rd in their division. They're out of a playoff spot right now. They don't control their own destiny. It's just, that's why I say it's been such a stupid season. I'm not talking about the extracurriculars, even though I don't like a lot of those either, but just from what you've seen, them being the number 1 scoring offense, Al-Qadim Muhammad has worked out great. Still 8-6 through 14 games. I hate it. I hate it here.
I know it sucks, Flannel. I want to start off with the biggest thing. I mean, I don't know if you've seen or not, but the Kelvin Shepard stuff. I mean, he gets asked about the run defense. He pulls the old, take away this, take away that. Wasn't as bad as you think it was, even though it was exactly as bad as we think it was. But what have you thought of, I guess, first half? I mean, I talked about it. First 11 weeks of the season, you have a top 10 scoring defense. Now, after week 11, not only have you given up 30, 20, I'll go 27 or more in the last 4 games, but you've also regressed as a scoring defense to, I think they're 23rd. So they go from 10 to 23rd. They've regressed in every area. I think the only top 10 category they are right now is third down defense, which teams you see aren't even needing to get to third down sometimes. They're just moving the chains. What have you thought of the defense falling apart over the last couple of weeks? And do you think it's injuries? Are you out on Kelvin Shepard? Do you think it's fixable? Where are you at with Kelvin and the defense over the last couple of weeks?
Well, first of all, with Kelvin Shepard, now is not the time to be arrogant. And he's not the only one, by the way. We might get to that, we might not, but now is not the time to be arrogant. Not after your run defense gives up 159 yards and 3 touchdowns. And it wasn't just a couple of big plays. And even if it was, who gives a damn? But it wasn't. The Rams were consistently getting chunk yardage. Blake Corum, Kyron Williams. The Lions just couldn't stop them. And the Lions defense couldn't stop the Rams as a whole. I mean, Matthew Stafford picked them apart. They scored 41 points. Puka Nacua had 9 receptions for 181 yards. It's not the time for Kelvin Shepard to do anything other than just say, we got to be better. It's on me, on to Pittsburgh. You don't need to be making this, well, if you take away this, if, it wasn't cloudy out, even though it wasn't cloudy, but you know what I mean, just ridiculous stuff like that, then actually the run defense actually wasn't that bad. I don't like this whole, I'm going to leave here with something mentality. You lost, you're 8-6. And honestly, with the defense as a whole, it's obviously not Kelvin Shepard's fault that Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are both hurt. Like, one of the biggest reasons why this team, I think, is 8-6 overall is that the Lions as a whole went from having the best safety play in the NFL last year to Kirby Joseph missing more than half the season, only playing 6 games. Brian Branch now has a blown Achilles, but even when he was playing, he wasn't quite the same player as he was last year. He had 0 interceptions, gave up 119 passer rating when targeted. Last season, Kirby and Branch combined for 13 interceptions. This year, 3. That's tough as a whole, and a lot of that had to do with injury. The D-line, I mean, honestly, and tell me if you guys agree with this. When you look at the Lions' defensive line, the only 2 players, in my opinion, that have actually lived up to their expectations or exceeded them are Al-Qadim Muhammad and Roy Lopez. That's it.
Spot on.
And it's not, I'm not trying to take a shot at Hutch because I don't think Hutch has been bad. I still think he takes too much slander. But before the season, we were talking about him as one of the front runners for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, that's not even a thought in anybody's mind. Not that he's had a bad year or anything. It's just he hasn't quite been what we expected. Aleem McNeil hasn't looked the same coming back from injury. DJ Reader and Tyleik Williams have been meh, you know? I mean, Tyleik Williams, he's a rookie, but still just kind of replacement level C players. Big Dav, Josh Paschal, and Levi O have been beset by injuries to the shock of absolutely no one. And I'll put my hand up. I was happy with the Levi O extension, but you could also
Flannel.
You could also say that you could see it coming. I got that one wrong, but the point is just the defense. It hasn't been bad for all parts of the year. It was better at the beginning of the season when it was more healthy, and obviously they've had some great performances, like the Buccaneers, the Eagles, just to name a couple. But moving forward, it's the unit that I'm the least confident in. I'm more confident in the offense moving forward than I am in the defense. A lot of that has to do with injuries. Some of that has to do with underperforming of units and players. But it's not – I don't have a lot of confidence in this Lions defense in these last 3 games. And the Lions are going to need their defense to at least give them something. Not hold teams to below 20 points, but maybe create a takeaway, maybe get a couple of big stops, force a couple of punts. I hope they can do it. I have my doubts.
Flannel, I'm going to ask you an open-ended question for you because I'm interested. I feel like you always have a lot of big takes, I would say, just or big opinions. Outside of like the conversation there with the defense, in that Lions-Rams game, we're heading into the last 3 weeks. What were some other takeaways, like negative takeaways with this team that you think are going to hurt them going here down the stretch and potentially keeping them out of the playoffs?
All right. So actually, this leads me to another point.
I knew I would set you up for something if I asked you that open-ended. I knew it, Flannel. Let's go.
Because the offense, it's still a little bit misleading that they're the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. And I know that I'm not trying to take that away from them, but it hasn't been this just continuously dominant offense like the number 1 scoring offense in the league would maybe indicate. I'll give you an example. You saw some trends in that Rams game that even though overall they played really well, their offense, Jahmyr Gibbs was a non-factor again in all 6 losses. And it's not all Jahmyr Gibbs' fault. Some of it has to do with the offensive line. They just couldn't get him going. And all 6 of them hasn't scored a touchdown. And in those 6 losses, including last week when their offense scored 34 points, Jahmyr Gibbs has averaged 13 carries for 42 yards. That's not good. He's blown up in a couple of their wins, most notably the Giants game, but they haven't been able to get Jahmyr Gibbs going in every single one of their losses. In 5 of their 6 losses, David Montgomery, including this Rams game, David Montgomery has, on very low usage, ran the ball really well. They just didn't go to him enough. Like in this game, for example, 7 carries for 32 yards. I could go back to Philly, 6 for 27. KC, 4 for 24. Minnesota, 11 for 40 and a touchdown. Green Bay, the second time, 8 for 32 and a touchdown. The Rams game, he had a touchdown as well. Those are things that keep happening. And also when it comes to the offense, that second half, man, those first 3 drives, all 3 and outs, every single one of them. And I'm not saying they have to be perfect. I'm just saying that in every single one of their losses, the offense has either performed bad or had ruts. When coming out of halftime, it was a 24-17 game. By the time the Lions got their offense going again, it was 41-27. You know what I mean? Like obviously the defense could have done more to stop them, but the offense, I'll give you a stat, and a lot of you aren't going to know this, and it's going to blow your mind. In the Lions' 6 losses this season, they have averaged 20.2 points per game. 20.2. That's bad. It's not like the Lions are losing a bunch of games like 38-35 or 41-34 or anything like that. They have issues. They have issues with scoring against some of the better teams. They have issues with running of the ball against some better teams. They have issues with just going through these moments where they're just not clicking. Like, I'll give you an example. In the Vikings game, they scored 24 points, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. It should be enough to win against a J.J. McCarthy-led Vikings team, or at least that version of J.J. McCarthy, but they punted 5 times. And on another drive, they had on an 8-yard drive, they fumbled. This season is complicated. It's not just as simple as defense sucks, offense is good, defense is letting them down. There are a plethora of things that are hurting this team. That being said, I have more confidence in the offense than the defense moving forward, but this offense and this defense overall has to, and special, of course, has to, in concert, work together and go 3-0 down the stretch, or they're not making the playoffs. That's not a good situation to be in. And oh, by the way, there's an outside chance that they could go 3-0 in those games, including winning at Chicago in the last game, and still not make it. If they win all 3, I think they will make it. But at the same time, not controlling your own destiny and needing your offense and your defense and your special teams in some capacity to step up, it's not a situation that any of us envisioned that the Lions were going to be in. And we have to just call it like it is. It's been a very, very disappointing and underwhelming season so far. It just has. 8-6 out of the playoffs with the expectation that the Lions had. Come on.
Well, Flannel, I said the other day, I think the Lions win the next 2, drop the last one of the Bears. I think they go 10-7, and I think they miss the playoffs. Where are you at in the next 3-game stretch?
I can't predict them to win 3 games in a row, especially since the Steelers, I think they're going to beat the Steelers. I really do. But the Steelers are fighting for their playoff lives. They're winning their division. They've got a lot of talented players. Nick Herbig and TJ Watt might be out, so I think they'll win. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a tough game. It's not an auto dub. At Minnesota, that's certainly not an auto dub. JJ McCarthy's been playing a lot better. He's got good weapons. He's got Kevin O'Connell. The defense, it has a lot of players who have been playing well. Dallas Turner doesn't look like a bust anymore. Andrew Van Ginkel, Eric Wilson, Blake Cashman. You saw what their defense did at Ford Field. And of course, the Chicago Bears, they're 2 games up in the division right now. We have to respect what they've done. And Booner, you mentioned it right before I came on. Their defense is leading the whole bleeping NFL in takeaways. Their rushing attack, led by DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai in that great offensive line, has been dominant as of late. And Caleb Williams is a damn good quarterback and also just a phenomenal playmaker. He just makes some of the most spectacular throws you'll ever see, like this last week against DJ Moore against the Browns, but his efficiency is also getting better. I don't see the Lions going 3-0 in these games. And unfortunately, unless if there's some collapse by the Packers or one of your wins is against the Lions and the Lions drop, or one of your wins is against the Bears and the Bears drop the other 2, you're going to have to win all 3. And I can't predict that right now, not with this team.
Hey, Flannel. Hey, do you think I'm going to say this? They do have a path to win the NFC North still, Flannel.
Of course they do. 100% they do.
If they did, could we make a bet? Would you shave your head or something?
No. Because at the end of the day, I'm not.
Come on.
God, Flannel.
No, because at the end of the day, I say all of this, and I'm not trying to play both sides. I'm not writing them off. I'm not saying that they can't.
Fair.
I said at the beginning of my time on here that it wouldn't shock me if they won all 3. It's just there's a difference between it wouldn't shock me and asking me to predict it. And oh, by the way, I didn't even mention in their last 9 games, they're 4-5. It's been loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. It's literally been that loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Now they're supposed to win 3 in a row against, I think, 3 to some extent formidable opponents. No, there's no Saints or Giants or Titans in your last 3 games.
Hey, can I ask you this? Like, say off season comes around. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Obviously, still 3 weeks left, potential playoffs. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But if you Flannel wanted to see Brad Holmes do a certain, 1 or 2 things this offseason, what are those like main points that you want to see Brad Holmes address? And maybe that's not just address, but approach the offseason a certain way, whether it's free agency, draft, what are some things you want to see this offseason so that you would have more confidence heading into next year that the same thing for the third straight year doesn't happen again, or second straight year, I guess?
It's tough because at the end of the day, I can't really make that determination until I see how this season plays out. However, since I don't think they're going to win all 3 games, I'll just say I think even though the Lions and Brad Holmes have done some things to try, I just think you've got to get better in the trenches overall. I think this offensive line has been, and you've got some young players like Mahogany and Ratledge. It's been not as good as last year, and you can never get too many good offensive linemen. The D-line, the interior, the edge rushing position, I think that is probably what the Lions need to address most. If you were to pin me down to one thing, just try to be that dominant trenches team, because they were in 2024 and 2023 at least a dominant offensive line, and they were better against the run. As long as they get to that, that would be an improvement. You still got to do more. I'd like to see the pass rush get better moving forward, although AQM was good, but like I said, he was the only one of the edge rushers that lived up. More in the trenches.
Yeah, Flannel, I think the biggest thing, and we talked about this with Brad Holmes, and it really comes down to the window talk, which, you know, we've had that discussion before, but we're going to get into it after we talk to you. But I do want to hear your thoughts on it before we get to like Michigan stuff. But what's the window look like to you, at least for right now? I believe, and this is what I think a window, your best chance to win, and what a window truly means is when you're at your peak, when you can go talent from a coaching staff perspective, whatever it may be. But right now, with all these players the Lions have, and some of them are out right now, you have to pay guys soon, you know? So you might not be able to keep all these talented players that Brad Holmes found in the draft. How open is the window to you, Flannel? And if it's still open, how much longer do you think it can be? Not saying Brad can't extend it, but just the prime of this current window, this NFC Championship team, where are they at, in your opinion?
Well, first off, they got to restructure Jared Goff's contract, and I think that they will. The one thing that I don't like is that Aiden and Aleem haven't lived up. Although Aleem gets some injury excuse, he's been back for a while now, haven't lived up after they've got paid. I don't like what's going on with Kirby Joseph's knee after he got paid. It seems he hasn't been IR'd. There's been question, is it career altering? It's not career altering. He's practiced. He's not playing. He's not playing this week. I mean, you all know the saga. It's been very strange and very disheartening, especially since they just paid him. I hope that moving forward, Aleem and Hutch make Brad Holmes look smart, that they paid the right guys. But I think that's what it's contingent on. The guys that Brad Holmes paid continuing to succeed, like Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Penei, all of those, they have succeeded. And also, in order to keep a window going, we all know this, and this is why a lot of Lions fans, I think, got, I wouldn't say tricked, but kind of into thinking this window is infinite. Moving forward, Brad Holmes has to draft better. I said it last time, and I'll continue to say it. The 2024 draft is not looking very good right now. The only person from that draft who's lived up so far is Christian Mahogany, and that's because he was a 6th-round draft pick. But there's Ennis Rakestraw. Terrion's been okay, a little bit better, but he got hurt. Vaki, Manu, Wingo. You can't – having drafts like that, it makes windows tougher because those are the ones that are cheaper. And you're going to have to pay Gibbs or make decisions about Gibbs, Campbell, and Brian Branch sooner, which who knows what they're going to do with him. Blown out Achilles, that's tough. I don't know, man. I think it depends on making right decisions with who you pay, drafting better, and some of the guys playing better. But there definitely is a window, and their best chances were probably 23-24 in this year. Unfortunately, they didn't succeed in 23-24, and this year it's not looking good.
Can we talk Sharon more now, Jeff? Do you have any more Lions?
No, let's get to it. Let's just get to it, man.
Flannel, what's your thought? I have not actually spoken. I mean, the only comments I've heard from Flannel Sam in regards to the Sharon Moore stuff is I am in a Michigan group chat with Flannel and a handful of people. And Flannel just every couple days will text in there and say, this Michigan is it looks like is the laughing stock of college football. They're the laughing stock right now. And then I don't hear from Flannel for a couple days. And then I'll get the same text from Flannel, the same thing in the group chat. Flannel, can I get a statement from you about the Sharon Moore stuff? How do you think Michigan handled it? What, and I guess in a minute here, I would rather have you hear you about the Sharon stuff first, and then we can get into the future of what they're going to do and what you want them to do. But can you address the Sharon stuff? What are your thoughts on that and how that whole thing went down with the University of Michigan here?
I'm going to take it even bigger picture than that. I'm fully convinced that Michigan sold their soul to the devil to win that natty. And I'm being a little bit satirical, but really feels that way because that natty and Booner, we celebrated together with champagne. It was one of the greatest nights of our life. I haven't been able to enjoy a second of it since because Michigan, first off, they haven't played good football in the last couple of years. And a lot of that has to do with Sharon, but they've just been rocked by scandal after scandal after scandal. They're always in the news for all of the wrong reasons. And this Sharon Moore stuff, man, it's just another thing. And it's moments like this where as fun as it's been, as great as the natty was, as great as 2021 to 2023 was, I almost wish I wasn't cursed with the burden of being a Michigan fan. I can get out of it because I didn't go there, but I'm too ingrained in it now. It's just more BS, more me trying to, or being put into possession where I have to either condemn or defend the undefensible. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace what Sharon Moore did. And he compounded his bad decisions with not being able to keep it in his pants, with getting arrested, breaking into houses with knives and stuff like that. It's so stupid. And the whole nation is laughing at Michigan right now. And it sucks. I hate it. I hate it so much. I would give anything for Michigan to just be out of the news and clean again. But maybe they had to do all that to win that one natty. But now that natty doesn't even feel so good anymore. It sucks right now being a Michigan fan. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I wasn't trying to duck you guys last week, I promise. I actually had a lot of stuff to do. But when I saw all of that break, I'm like, oh, man, that's not going to look really good that I'm not on. But I will just say I would give anything for Michigan to just be a clean program again that is not laughing stock, that is not in the news for all of the wrong reasons again. Anything.
So you would agree, like I've been saying this for a while now. I might have texted to you. I'm like at the point to where I think and I'm surprised that Ward Manuel still has a job. Like that's shocking to me. I feel like whoever's the president or whoever they decide is going to make all of these decisions going forward, in my opinion, Flannel, just get clean house. And I know it sounds bad because people lose jobs, but like no one should be in that football program, let alone that athletic department, that had any knowledge of, because it sounds like there's a lot of things that this, like I'm hearing like old reporters and like people come out that are essentially saying like Michigan has covered a lot of things up. And it's just like, I'm at that point to where it's like, just clean and start fresh. And I'm not just talking football. I'm talking no one that's ever been in the past of the Jim Harbaugh era should ever come back in the building for football, even though they want us a natty. I love that. But they should never be back because of all the scandals. And no one in the athletic department that had anything to do with any of this should ever come back. And they should just clean house and start fresh. That's my opinion. That's where I'm at with it.
I'm okay with it. And it's hard to even fathom that because I think if they do that, there's a chance that there's some lean years coming forward for Michigan on the field. Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, I said I want them to be clean. I want them to be out of the news. I think Ward Manuel should probably have been gone already, quite frankly, even though I like a lot of what he's done as an athletic director. There's just so much bad that's happened under his watch. Yeah, Booner, if they did that, I wouldn't be mad at all. Even if Michigan had to make some sacrifices on the field. And I know that that's a lot to take in as a Michigan fan, but man, I think we're all tired of Michigan being in the news for all the wrong reasons. It's sickening.
Who's your top candidate? I mean, I'm a big Joe Klatt guy. So Joe Klatt very tapped into college football. He has advocated for the Kenny Dillinghams of the world. He talked about Kalen DeBoer, how he wouldn't rule him out until the dotted line is signed officially. I mean, they play this week, so we'll see what happens. But out of all the potential names that are out there, Flannel, where would you align? And if one of those guys are hired, whoever you decide or whoever you want to be hired, what does it mean for Michigan in the future? And are you optimistic?
Well, first off, Booner, we got to be big Oklahoma fans this Friday. And you know why? Because Alabama might not even want to accept Kalen DeBoer with his first year being no playoffs and his second year being first round exit, 4 losses. That might be the only way that he's even in play, because he is my first choice at this moment. And I'm not saying that he's gettable right now. It might be a little pie in the sky, but we've obviously heard the rumors, even if they're unfounded. But he's obviously was great at Washington. At Alabama, I mean, hasn't been necessarily the best fit, but I think at Michigan, considering all that has gone on, that would be huge in terms of following up. Kenny Dillingham is also very promising, taking Arizona State to the college football playoff last year, giving Texas everything that they could handle. This year was a little disappointing, but they still had a winning year, and their quarterback, Sam Leavitt, has been gone for a while, so that has something to do with it. They were playing Jeff Sims at quarterback, and he's absolutely terrible. That's not on Kenny Dillingham. And Kenny Dillingham's young, and he's a lifelong Arizona guy, like born and bred Arizona State, from Tempe and all that, went to Arizona State. So that might be tough, but he's somebody that I would look into. Jed Fish, not the most exciting, but I wouldn't be super mad. Clark Lee, who just got extended at Vanderbilt. That's another interesting one. Obviously, we can't ignore what he did at Vanderbilt. And now going into next year, he was able to flip the #1 quarterback recruit from Georgia to Vanderbilt, kind of creating a little powerhouse at freaking Vanderbilt. You can't ignore that, even though that's also his alma mater, and he just signed an extension. Those are the 4 right now that I'm looking at. And if Michigan does any of those 4, I will be fine. Fine to ecstatic, depending on who it is. But if it's anybody but those 4, I will be a little bit bummed, because at that point, it would probably be someone underwhelming. And that's not to say that underwhelming hire wouldn't be.
Well, and then Bryce is out of that bitch, Flannel. He's out.
I mean, that's why last year's 9-3 season was the worst 9-3 season of all time. They were 9-3. They lost all of their games against good opponents. Sharon couldn't keep it in his pants. Bryce Underwood had a disappointing season. Just keep stabbing the knife in, Jeff. But you guys can right now. Michigan's a fucking laughing stock. It sucks. I hate it.
Rich Eisen. Dude. Rich Eisen. Hey, what about Gruden? Gruden? That was Booner's guy at the USA.
Hey, Flannel, I think, and I know Kalen DeBoer is your number 1. I think my number 1's Dillingham. Okay. I like Kenny Dillingham. I just think he's young, and the man took Arizona State to a college football playoffs. I respect that. And I know Kalen DeBoer did the same with Washington, but the Arizona State and him doing that, it just feels like he comes in, he doesn't take any BS, and there's going to be no scandals, nothing with him. I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer there will be, but I don't know. Something with Kenny Dillingham. I'm hoping that's the guy. I really am. I'm interested to see how they approach this, to be honest.
Well, and here's to add to your point about Kenny Dillingham, and it's something that I just thought about right now. Kenny Dillingham, as I said earlier, and if you do any research on him, you'll see it. Kenny Dillingham is Arizona State. Arizona State is Kenny Dillingham. Born in the area, went to school there. This is his dream job. What that means is, it could be tougher to pry him away from there, but if Michigan is able to do that, if they're able to offer Kenny Dillingham so much money that he can't refuse, I think that Kenny Dillingham would be more likely to bring some of his guys to Michigan than somebody like Kalen DeBoer would be to bring guys from Alabama to Michigan. Because Kalen DeBoer, he's not even been a success there. He's only been there for 2 years. He's a fish out of water. He's not entrenched with the program. And that's just my opinion. I think it'd be easier for Kenny Dillingham to bring players with him than it would be for Kalen DeBoer to bring players with him. But that also leads to Clark Lee, who I think would do the same thing at Vanderbilt, but he seems like more of an afterthought right now, like a pie in the sky.
Yeah, Flannel, before we get you out of here, can we get a score prediction for Sunday, Lions-Steelers?
Yeah, I'll go Lions 31, Steelers 23, something like that. Like a little too close for comfort at the end, but the Lions just have too much offense with the banged up Steelers defense. Like I said, I don't think they'll win all three, but I think they'll win this one. They have to win this one. And at this point, they can't look ahead. They're in the playoffs right now. The playoffs start this Sunday, and we all know that.
Yeah. You got to basically, like we were talking about earlier, you got to win out, which the team hasn't won back-to-back in over 11 weeks.
Yeah.
So, 10 or 11 weeks. So, yeah, brutal. Flannel, great stuff. No, go on.
I was going to ask Flannel if there was anything else you want to get off his chest. I know Flannel you usually have a list of things that is there anything you missed?
Yeah. Do we miss any gripes you have, Flannel, or
Tigers, any other sports? Is there anything that you want to?
I mean, it's all going pretty well besides for Michigan football at this point. I mean, if you want to say Tigers isn't going well because
you see the Scott Harris stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you can say the Tigers isn't going well because of distrust in Scott Harris and what they're going to do in the offseason, but there's not really a whole lot that I have major gripes with yet. I will say this, Booner, and you know this. Maybe Michigan's a basketball school now.
They are
wow.
insane at basketball. There's something about that basketball team that's fun to watch. I've said it. I think I texted you this, Flannel, like after the second game, or maybe it was like after the first game. It was just like, this might be the deepest team that I've seen. Like we've seen some good teams going to the national championship, obviously. The Trey Burke team, and then the most recent one. I think this might be the deepest Michigan team that we've had in our lifetime. And they go like 7, 8, 9 deep. And those are like all of those guys can score double digits. You just don't see that, I feel like, in college. Because typically college, there's a couple good players on your team, and then you have a lot of role players. Like that's typically an NBA thing. And even in the NBA, you don't see 8, 9 guys deep that can go double digits. Like Michigan can do that. And it's one of the more scary. And Dusty May, I think he's done it in a good way to where the reason I do like the hiring of Dusty Flannel is a lot of people be like, well, he doesn't develop. Like, dude, he's so good in the portal. And like, that's what today's college sports is you need to be great at, is in the portal, NIL and all that. And he's proven to probably right now be the best in college basketball in the portal. Like he went out and got the #1 player in the portal. He went out and got players that are making massive impacts every single year since he's been at Michigan the last 2 seasons. It's incredible. It really is.
And not only that, Will Shetter and Namari Burnett were on this team when he got there. He was able to convince them to stay following that whole Juwan Howard nonsense. And obviously Roddy Gale Jr., he was a portal guy, but he was there last year. It's not a question whether they're the deepest Michigan team I've ever seen. It's insane. Trey McKinney, Namari Burnett, LJ Kaysen, and Will Shetter come off the bench.
It's nuts.
That's insane. I guess the only question about them, and I don't even think it's really a question, is do they have enough high-end talent? And I think they do. I think Yaxel is a potential lottery pick. I think Adai Mara is really intriguing as a talent. Trey McKinney was one of the top recruits. Morris Johnson Jr. has probably been Michigan's 2nd overall player this year, even though he was a little bit unheralded. He's just been awesome as like an athletic specimen who can finish at the rim. He's even shown a little bit more touch with his shot, making some threes. I love this Michigan team. I feel the exact opposite that I do about football, about basketball.
I agree.
I'm optimistic and happy. With the football, I just kind of want to, like, I don't know, listen to sad music and sulk. Did that for a little bit, but
it's like the violin, play the world's smallest violin.
Oh, yeah. But Michigan, I'm not excusing Michigan, though. For the record, it's just how I feel. I just wish the scandals would go away. And at this point, do anything you have to get it done.
They need their Dusty May. I keep seeing it on Twitter. They need their Dusty May.
Could be Kenny Dillingham.
I hope it is. That'd be incredible.
Sure.
Keep up the great work, Flannel. You guys can check out Flannel on Twitter or X at Flannel_Sam. We'll catch you next week, my friend. Or, well, not next week, the following week. But we'll catch you soon.
All right. Keep up the good work, guys.
Appreciate it, Flannel.
Flannel Sam joining the show, talking to the fellas. By the way, the Seahawks choking in a big game again.
It's halftime. What are you talking about? It's 13-6.
Choking in a big game.
It's 13-6. What do you mean?
Where's JSN at?
It's 1 possession.
Where's JSN at?
Dude, what? You got to wait till the end of the game to say that. Come on now.
Will brought up an interesting point, which I thought we've already kind of talked about on Lions Collective, which we've mentioned before. And this is why, even though we've been, it's been a somber couple of weeks, or actually more than that, really season. When you look at the NFC, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. If they match up in the first round against a Seahawks team, I don't know if I mean, how I feel about Sam Darnold in big games. That's why I still believe you just got to get in.
I mean,
I don't think you win a Super Bowl, but if we're talking about like maybe even winning if you win a playoff game, I mean, as much as it
saves a little bit of the season.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything because you're trying to win a Super Bowl, but at least for a morale boost.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's like the season wasn't like a complete nothing piece. Like you actually got a playoff win, dude. I texted you this. You and Klotz this when we were arguing about making the playoffs the other day in our group chat. Like, if you get in the playoffs, like there's a legit chance, Jeff, that you match up, let's say even round one versus Green Bay Packers team. You've lost to them twice. You know how hard it is to beat a team in the NFL 3 times, especially now without Micah Parsons. Like you potentially match up with the Green Bay Packers or Bears team. Both, I would say, Jeff, beatable or winnable games, correct? And then in round 2, it's like you're playing maybe the Seahawks or the Bucks, depending on how that game, if that's the game, how that works out. And then you final game, it's Rams potentially. Like, I think there's like you can make if they get in, you can make an argument as long as they don't have to go through the Rams until the NFC Championship. Like, those are 2 winnable games to get to the NFC Championship game. They really are. They are. Like, it's not like you're sitting there being like, you're going to be 15-point underdogs. Like, there's a chance you're favorites in some of those games.
Yeah, I think the reality is, again, we're trying to find some positive in all of the negative. Besides the Rams, to me, there isn't a team that I'm looking at in the NFC that is I would say a team that you look at if they face the Lions, like, yeah, they're beating the Lions.
I agree.
There's just not that much, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what do you...
I think you're favorites versus most of these teams.
Yeah, if you play Seattle, you're in Seattle. Okay, they're probably favorites by, a couple points.
2.5.
Yeah, but that's, Tampa, Carolina, whoever gets in, like, okay. Bears, Packers just lost Micah. They lost Micah and Wyatt. Bears are kind of still in it early. So there is a reason if you can win 3 straight, have a little bit of momentum going into the playoffs. There is a reason to be like, all right, let's just see what happens here. You know what I mean? Again, you'd go into it with essentially 0 expectations, but for people out there that want any slither of positivity, there it is, right there. And actually, it brings me to what I wanted to ask you about, which I mean, we could save it for tomorrow, to be honest, because I did want to get. You want to just save it for tomorrow?
I think it's a good conversation tomorrow. Like I actually do. I think we could talk a lot of Steelers Lions tomorrow, majority. We have Pick'em. I think we do that. I also tomorrow, and I want the people to think about this too. We could tease tomorrow's segment, but I do want to I'm interested in where people are with a couple guys to step up these last 3 games. Like,
yeah,
we haven't done that yet this week. I'm heading into the last 3 weeks, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. I was just asking. I mean, let me write that down.
I think those 2 are big. And I think a lot of Steelers Lions stuff tomorrow, and break that game down a lot. Cause I think it's going to be a battle. I mean, you're 7-point favorites or 6 or 7-point favorites, but I still think you're going to be in a tough one. And I think honestly, like, you've lost games at home this year. So it's not like, hey, we're at home, it's an automatic win.
Yeah,
you've lost home games. You got to be ready to go. There's this weird feeling I have, Jeff, and I know this is dumb. This sounds really dumb. I just have a feeling that Dan, and I feel like every time I've said this, it's come true, and it's usually after a loss. I just have a feeling like Dan's leadership over these next 3 weeks is going to lead them to a 3-0. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, you ever get that feeling with the Dan Campbell where it's like he knows like the right buttons to push typically, and when it goes to the leadership side, and it feels like this is one of those moments we've seen time after time with him where it's like, hey, I feel like Dan, one, is going to obviously coming off a loss, they're going to win this game. But I feel like you have a short week going into Thursday versus the Packers or the Vikings, that they're going to win that game. And then you have essentially, 10 days at that point to prepare for a Bears game on the road. 10 days for Dan. I'm like, maybe I am a slappy. Maybe I am.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. I mean, to give you credit, I mean, you'd like to think that Dan could rally him. I think the season
do or die.
I think the season has just kind of beat me down to where it's hard to find that. But this is why Dan Campbell was hired for moments. Not that you want moments like this, but for moments like this, you have to win. You have to win the next 3 games. You're not facing Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Okay, well, you are.
No, you actually are.
But at this point,
back-to-back weeks, you're about to go up to Aaron Rodgers in 9. Like,
yeah, well, and then Caleb Williams, but they are facing, I mean, Aaron Rodgers at 40-something years old. You got JJ, and then you have Caleb Williams. It's like, okay, you have a little bit of a break when it comes to like back-to-back. You have Mahomes, Dak, Jordan Love. You have this stretch of like elite court. At least you have that going for you. You'd like to think that Dan could rally them. You know what I'm saying? You'd like to think. But again, based on the last, double-digit games.
Yeah, okay. So this is my thought though with that. Like, people are like, well, Booner, why hasn't he had that why hasn't that leadership come out so far? I do actually think that, as dumb as it sounds,
they like where they're at.
No, not that they like where they're at. I just think like the desperation, as much as we felt like the desperation was there, I do think there was that like little glimpse of like, oh, we're good. Like, we have a little bit of wiggle room up until the Rams lost. And now that there's that Rams loss, I feel like maybe Dan was a little too conservative when it comes to leadership, because he felt like, hey, maybe we do have that wiggle room and we don't want to press the button, because every time he's been asked about it before the Rams game, he's like, no, we're not in really panic mode yet. But then now after the Rams game, he goes on, Costa and Jansen, and he goes on their show and he's like, or no, maybe it wasn't that, whatever show it was, he's like, we need to win. Like, we have to win now. And you could tell like the urgency from him is there where it wasn't as much before. Do you see what I'm saying there? To where like, and I know maybe we all wanted Dan to lock in a little bit more on it 3 weeks ago, and prevent being in this situation. But it feels like these are those moments where Dan, like, when it is like do or die and there's a gun to his head, and it's like, hey, you have to win these next 3 or you die. Like, it feels like Dan Campbell is, over the last 4 or 5 years, he's been the guy that's lived through that. And he's overcome those moments. So that's where I'm a little like, it's not the easiest 3 weeks, but it's a 3 weeks that's like very, very obtainable. And if anyone could do it, Dan Campbell's a guy that could lead a team to go get those 3 wins. I truly do believe that. I really do.
Yeah.
I sound like a slappy again, man.
Well, I don't want it to get.
I keep getting back into it, man. This is an addiction at this point.
I mean, I don't want. I think we're at a point now where anything you say that has any hint of positivity, it comes off as being a slappy. But
yeah,
we've spoken, and I mean, we've said our piece. We've said it for the last 5-6 weeks. I mean, it's been bad. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, we've stated that. I mean, hell, I have them missing the playoffs. So it's not like you saying that means you're slappy. I mean, I think it feels like that because it feels anything we say should be negative based on what we've seen. But, I mean, again, like I said earlier, talk is cheap. Action is expensive. So
for
it's
sure.
Like, all right,
wow.
Yeah. Write that down. That's a good one, ain't it?
It's great. You know what that just reminded me of?
What?
Before I forget, we need to make Crunch Time coffee mugs.
I could do that.
Yeah. Can I next time I'm over there, let's design. I would like to help design those ones.
Okay.
That'd be sick though, right? I thought of that the other day.
Yeah.
It was actually a shower thought.
I don't know what goes. You got a lot of shower thoughts, or?
Well, I'm thinking of Crunch Time. I'm thinking of the business. My brain's always working.
That's fair. No, I like that. Drop your questions, by the way. We'll get to mailbag.
You can ask us anything, literally anything.
We'll start off. Todoro. Appreciate
What
the
a
comments.
name.
Question for Booner and Jeff. Do you guys think Dan switched to OC too early?
I think maybe it was too late.
maybe too late, man. I don't know. John Morton, I think I'm probably good with those first couple games.
Dan's been good. Like, I know a lot of people are still this offense. I think it's the offensive line that's the issue. Dan has been. I know there's been moments. Overall, though,
he's still ironing a couple things out, but man, you can't argue with it. They're finding ways to score points. You know,
the problem is, it's like there's a player two here and there, like throughout a game, where you're like, Dan, what do you do? Like the 3rd and 9 run or whatever it was, or 3rd and 11 run. You're like, but that's just like, I think that's just Dan still trying to. He's kind of essentially a rookie coordinator. So, but like, dude, he has been in the last couple 4 or 5 weeks, like starting with the Commanders game, struggled in the Eagles game, but the Commanders he was elite. And then there was a couple games within there. I mean, they've scored 30 plus multiple times with Dan Campbell calling plays. And like the offense has looked outside of the Eagles game. Offense has essentially looked immaculate. Dare I say.
By the way, ETN just dropped Mailbag. Who's better, Puka or JSN?
JSN. I love Puka. Dude, JSN's about to win Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, he has 0 today, but like, he's on track for almost 2,000. Like if he goes off in the second half, he could have the last 2 weeks an opportunity to hit 2,000, which obviously we haven't seen done.
If I could take,
I love Puka too, dude.
If I could take a receiver, you can't go wrong. There's no wrong. They're both. These are number 1 and number 2, I think, in yards.
Puka's big. Though,
I would take Puka as a number 1. I would.
Yeah, I'm almost there with it. But JSN.
But JSN's, but I'm saying like. Potato.
JSN's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's a great question from ETN. I don't know, to be honest.
It's just it's really your style. You know what I mean? Whatever style. I like Puka. I like to me he's a big body guy. I mean, you can do a lot. Same with JSN though. So
JSN's about to have an Offensive Player of the Year. Not a lot in the league.
Did you see the graphic, by the way? What he needs to do to catch Kelvin? Dude, it's crazy. He has to average 140 yards to catch Kelvin.
A game, which I think, like, I mean, I would have to guess he gets at least 70 in the second half here. Like, they're going to force feed him.
Think about that. Kelvin did that in 16 games.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Like, people forget how dominant Calvin Johnson that year, just in general, but that year to have what he had in 16 games. I mean,
imagine if some point Cooper Kupp, or not Cooper Kupp. Imagine if Puka Nacua ends up getting like 1,900, and Matthew Stafford has the top 3 seasons of all time with the wide receiver. Cooper Kupp, Kelvin, and Puka. If Puka ever does it, how nuts would that be?
It's crazy. I mean, you like to think there'll be a 2,000-yard receiver with 17 games. I mean,
yeah.
I don't
know.
The
guys just keep getting close, and they just it's tough because that consistently for that long, dude. It's hard.
Let's see. Full Slate Farm says, Mailbag. What do you remember about the Milliman March? Okay, so I was 5, so I don't remember anything. So that,
I was 8 at that moment.
Yeah, you were 8.
I don't remember the Milliman March. To be honest, I remember going 0-16 and being a little bit of aware of like we are really
think
bad.
The times though, that is, I mean, to have like that's like there's levels. Like, yeah, you complain about general managers and stuff. To have a March at like that shows how bad you are at your job. So no, I was 5. So I'm not going to sit here and say I remember anything. I was just,
imagine
I was sitting there coloring. I mean, I don't
having
know
a march after you, like for you to get fired.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. SW Lion Mailbag. If they had to do it over again, shouldn't they have hired OC from within and DC externally? The offense was the best and the defense was bad. I don't know. I think you could argue both externally because let's be real here, and this is my opinion. Technically, John Morton was internal because he was there with Ben Johnson when they created the offense. That was the selling point. And this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with this, Booner. I don't know if I'm a big fan of like the Hank Fraley OC, Scotty Montgomery OC. Like if I'm being real, I think any of those guys' jobs would have got taken. And I know that's hypothetical. But I think either way, in my opinion, you should have probably, looking back, hindsight 2020, you should have went external. Like,
on both, and I think you should have just went guys. I think with both experience, knowing your Super Bowl expectations.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. SW line. Maybe you're higher on Montgomery. Montgomery, Scotty Montgomery, or Hank Fraley. But I just those guys to me, I think they're good at what they do. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
By the way,
yeah,
Seahawks just took the lead.
Oh, did they?
Yep.
Who scored?
Kenneth Walker. Like a 50-yard run.
Dude, Kenneth Walker's balling.
Yeah, he's having a good game. He has like 60 like receiving yards and
He already
a
has
bunch of
100 yards.
rushing
Scrimmage yards. That's jeez.
and a touchdown.
All right, next question, Xavier Mailbag. What's your go-to karaoke song if you haven't done it, still pick one? Go-to karaoke song.
That's a great question. Probably Higher by Creed. Or like a Nickelback, Rockstar.
That I see. Me and you have that in common. You know, I think if I'm
Those are two good ones.
if I'm intoxicated, you throw a microphone in my hand and you say go sing a song. I'm probably going. I mean, I might even. You know what? I'll go something different. I might go Outstanding by the Gap Band. I might just pull that one out.
Yes, guy. I don't even know if they would have that on the thing.
I might pull a little.
What about like I mean I would go is it Unwritten, Natasha Bedingfield?
Yes.
I would go that too. That'd be one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a couple good ones. Yeah.
Maybe throw a
Creed.
little pumped up kicks, Foster the People. I can get loose to pumped up kicks.
I don't know if Pumped Up Kicks is
It's a very
karaoke
boom karaoke song.
Yeah, I just like if you were like we're doing karaoke and you're like did Pumped Up Kicks, I would be a little disappointed.
Hey, how about Hey There Delilah, Plain Right Tees?
I think that would kill the vibe. I think those are like sadder, like those are like in your car songs. Like
What about-
karaoke is like you're looking at your playlist right now. I know you are, because I've listened to your playlist. I know the playlist you're looking at. You sent it to me. I listen to it every day. There's not a lot of songs. You have some songs on there that could be karaoke.
What about Oh, I got one. This
You're
is
gonna-
actually what I should have said.
You're gonna throw out another non-karaoke song.
Superstar, Lupe Fiasco.
I guess that could be one. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's fine.
That's so.
I don't want to
funny,
ruin.
man.
It's fine. Pumped Up Kicks might start crying.
Yeah, I mean the whole bar like place just would be like, "What is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you,
LL Cool J,
Piano Man,
Mr. Brightside.
Mr. Brightside, good one. I like your
Yeah.
last one. Superstar's a good one. That could be. Cue Ball said he owns a karaoke company.
Actually,
I've never
Booner-
actually done karaoke. What were you gonna say?
I know. I would say Booner, big karaoke guy. And then you said I haven't done karaoke. So I was like, oh,
I've never done it. I enjoy like singing and like listening to music that's like karaoke music. I think there's like a specific type of music that has to be for karaoke.
so not sad songs.
No, like I think it has. I think like I've been to some karaoke places. I've never done karaoke. Like got up in front of the people and sang. Never done that. I mean, I would in the right environment with the right people.
By the way, someone just commented about the Seahawks too. Wait, what was it? Dark Flame says Seattle's only scoring when they get huge plays.
Yeah, but they're still winning.
You like those Seahawks, don't you?
No, I think it's just that I've had them high on my list, and you've always been like they're not that good. So I'm just waiting for them. Like I'm just like
I think
quietly.
their defense is good. I like their skill position. It's just the Sam down. I just think
I'm just hoping that they win the division, just so you can kind of like shut up with it for a little bit.
Hey,
Because you really can't be like he's bad if they win the. This is a big game tonight, actually.
hey, the Vikings almost won the division with Darnold. What do
They
you think
didn't
would've
though.
done?
But so if he
What do
won
you think they
here,
would've done? What do you think they would have done?
they would have had a different matchup if they did.
And what would have happened? Probably Reggie Miller right in the playoffs.
We have some more mailbags we're skipping over. Hold on.
No, pull it up.
Goatee karaoke. Hold on, I'm reading them. Who would you guys like to? We'll do that. We'll do that one different time. Mailbag. What pressure on Allen with Burrow, Mahomes, and Jackson out of playoffs? What is that?
Oh, Josh Allen. I think a lot of pressure on Josh Allen.
That is fair, actually. Actually, like thinking about it in the AFC, he typically has to go through Burrow and Mahomes every year, and except the last 2 years, it's been Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to go through any of those guys now this year. He's like the guy, you know what I mean? Like he can go run through guys like Drake May and stuff.
If I think Josh Allen,
this might be the year.
Yeah, in the postseason, who you're talking quarterback matchups in the AFC. Like the Broncos as a team, like there's better teams than the Bills, but just quarterback matchups, like Josh Allen's the guy you're looking at to make a run. I mean, you would say he's due for a Super Bowl appearance. Todoro says, Mailbag, do you guys think since you see the Burrow stuff, by the way?
Yeah, he's like not in love with football anymore.
There has never been, think about this, a quarterback in their prime, like Joe Burrow, that just straight up was like, to the media, not happy. I don't want to be here. Indirectly.
He said that about Cincinnati?
Well, he was like, they asked him, can you see yourself being the quarterback here next year or something like that? And he said, yeah, I think so. And they're like, well, what about the rest of your career? And he goes, a lot of things can happen. Or he said something like that. Like he would basically didn't want to answer that question. I think he's putting pressure on Cincinnati to be aggressive and make moves. But just if he does request out, that's never – Peyton Manning was not – I mean, Peyton Manning did it when he was older. Not old, but older. Aaron Rodgers, older. Tom Brady, older. But like,
yeah, but like even like Aaron Rodgers, he was pushed out essentially.
Yeah, well, Tom Brady was essentially pushed out. But you don't see guys in their prime be like, "I'm out." Usually,
I agree.
Teams don't do it. Teams aren't willing to do it. I don't think even the Bengals would do it if he asked out. I don't think
crazy. Today I was in an argument with our guy in the chat. You might be watching. Honch was like, Joe Burrow is overrated. And I was like, anytime someone says that, like Neil says that, like people say that about like Joe Burrow, and it's just like it shocks me that people can't wrap their heads around that. Joe Burrow is only getting hurt and they're missing the playoffs because one, they don't have an offensive line and they refuse to give him that, and two, they don't have a defense. Like that's it. Joe Burrow is a top 3 quarterback when healthy in the NFL.
Well,
and there's a big gap between him and other quarterbacks.
Hunch isn't a Lions fan, so I give him slack.
He is a Steelers fan too, to be honest.
But Lions fans, you should know that. I mean, look at this year. The Lions don't have a defense, and they don't have an offensive line. And look what's happening. He took a team that didn't have either to the Super Bowl.
That's what I said, and then it's like, well, what's since then? But it's insane. Like, I don't know how people don't see the Burrow. It's shocking to me.
But he hasn't been healthy. That's my biggest concern. But he is incredible.
But again, the healthy thing comes with being protected.
Yeah, protect him. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
he's constantly getting hurt because he's not protected.
We'll get out of here. Appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow. We got Pick'em, Steelers, Lions preview. We'll get into the window conversation. It'll be a great show tomorrow. But until then, we'll also have injury updates. Appreciate you all. Enjoy the rest of your night. Watch this game. We'll see what happens. But until then, peace.
Love you guys.